Hey guys, let me know if you can hear me alright. I know you can't see me very well. I have no idea what is going on with the lighting tonight, but it looks like I'm in a nightclub, even though it's my car. So guys, thank you for jumping on. Please share this with anybody you think is going to get value. I'm going to do my best to stay under these 3 beams of light that are shining down from the heavens. I want to talk to you today about decision making. And I want to take you through a couple of stories of ways and kind of situations where I've made bad decisions in my life, where things have gone totally wrong for me. Also decisions where I've actually thought about it and I've turned it into a positive. And then decisions that have been kind of automatically good decisions. So the way I look at it is this, guys. We're born into this world and other people continually make decisions for us. So we're not instantly born and then we've got a decision to make. We're babies, somebody feeds us, somebody teaches us a language, somebody gives us a religion, all that kind of stuff, and we start having these beliefs kind of driven into us. We also start to kind of be shaped as we're growing up by what we hear and what people allow us to do, I guess. So our parents kind of lead that way. They lead the decision making when we're growing up. So we don't really get to choose what school we go to. We don't get to choose what nursery we go to. We don't even get to choose our haircuts when we're a baby. I mean, some of the haircuts that my mum used to give me, horrific, including like, as well as that, like jumpers. Like I look back at some of the baby pictures, I'm like, what were you doing making me wear this stuff? So I bet you guys can relate to that anyway. So our parents make decisions for us all the time, all right? And there's a reason now that people are unfulfilled. There's a reason why depression and anxiety and all these things are increasing in the world around us. There's a reason why people aren't happy. And it's always you can always relate it back to a certain decision, either a decision to do something or a decision not to do it. So where did those decisions come from? Because we grow up as human beings and we're told what school to go to, and then we kind of get to 16, 17, 18 and it's like, all right, you're on your own now. Like now you've got to make a decision, and you're like, shit, I haven't had to really make any decisions whatsoever for the first 16 years of my life, and now you're throwing me in to the deep end to make decisions on my own. And this is why I think like loads of people don't really know what they want to do. So they end up doing what their parents suggest they should do, or they end up doing what they think they should do, or they end up kind of going down the peer pressure route. And what happens is once you make a bad decision, or once you make a decision that doesn't really work out right for you, you start to then question everything that you do. So for me, decision making is a skill. Decision making is something that you can get good at. The more decisions you make, the more you learn from, the better you become at making decisions. And sometimes it's hard to own the decisions that you've made. Like, so, you know, I can look back at certain decisions that I made back in the day where I actually blamed everybody else but myself. So I was in total blame mode. I was blaming every single person apart from me who made the actual decision. So what I want to discuss with you really, and this is kind of the 4 stages of learning, but it's the same thing when it comes to decision making. So the first stage is we are subconsciously incompetent a lot of the time. So we're making bad decisions and we don't even know we're making them. So we just go with the flow, like we just go with what everybody else is doing, even though we know it probably wasn't the right decision. So that was me when I went to university for the very first time. I'd got my A-levels and I'd got into the university, and I could have took my time and thought about it, but I just rushed into it and went where the majority of my friends went. That was kind of a subconsciously incompetent decision. It wasn't the right decision to make back then, but I just went with everybody else. So maybe you can relate that to your life, somewhere where you've been, where you've just gone with the flow. Like subconsciously incompetent usually happens when alcohol's involved as well. You're like, how did I end up here? What am I doing still up at this time? So, you know, I'm sure we can all go to one of those stories if we wanted to. But taking alcohol out of the equation, think about decisions that you made where you almost didn't really know you'd made the decision. And then you think, well, whose fault was it? Okay, so whose fault is it for that? Now, you can either blame somebody else and say, well, it wasn't me, I got pushed into it, I didn't really know what I was doing. Or you can take ownership and say, you know what, I didn't make the right decision, but it's okay. I know that now, and I'm going to make a better decision next time. So you can always improve on these things if you own it. If you don't, and you pass the buck, you will never ever learn from this stuff. So the next one is consciously incompetent. So you know you're making the wrong decision, but you still do it anyway. I can give you an example where I got into gambling a little bit, and I was betting on football matches, and I knew it was the wrong thing to do. I knew it wasn't right for me, but I didn't see any other way out. So I ended up putting quite a lot of money, and I didn't have the money to gamble either. I ended up putting quite a lot of money on a football match, and I lost it all. I had this kind of vision that I was going to become a top professional gambler, and it lasted one football match, right? That was it. I had this vision like, right, I'll bet on this game and I'll win, and then I'll save the money, and then I'll invest that money, and so on. And I had like this crazy kind of thing in my mind that was going to pan out, but it was a bad decision, but I knew I was making it. Even when I handed the money over and signed the betting form, I knew it was a bad decision, right? And when I lost the money, whose fault was it? Whose decision was it? It was my decision. I had to own it. I had to look for something else. This wasn't the answer. Gambling wasn't the answer. It was that I wanted to change my life that much that I was willing to do anything kind of thing, even though I knew it was the wrong thing to do. So maybe you guys think about like decisions that you've made where you really knew it wasn't the right thing to do, but you just did it anyway because the outcome was so important to you. Another one, quite an interesting one, was believe it or not, it was my birthday, and I was driving to train a personal training client at the time, and I was 15 minutes late, or I was going to be late, put it that way. So I'm driving down, and I get into the town centre where my studio is, and there's a sign, and it says no U-turns, okay, no U-turns. So I was like, shit, I'm going to be late. Like, if I go the long way round, it's going to add another 10 minutes onto my journey. If I do a quick U-turn here, it'll be fine. So that was conscious incompetence. It was a bad decision, but I knew I was making it. I did a quick U-turn. I did a quick U-turn. The next minute, you won't believe it, the blues and twos are on behind me like, woo, 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 woo. I was like, I don't believe this. Get in the back of the car, sir. Get in the back of the car. I'm like, mate, please, it's my birthday today. I'm running late for a client. It's my birthday. Can you let me off? And he was like, no. In fact, I feel like fining you double because it's your birthday. I was like, I don't believe it. He fined me £30, right, for doing a U-turn in a no U-turn area. The client that I was training was paying me £30 for that session. So it was just, I might as well have just not gone in the first place. It was funny. And you know what? You can look at that and you can go, I blame the sign. The sign shouldn't have been there. I blame the council or the government for saying you cannot do a U-turn there. I blame the police officer. Why wasn't he out there finding bank robbers and proper criminals instead of wasting his time pulling me over and that kind of thing? But, oh, hang on, the lights have gone out. But I didn't. I had to take responsibility for my own actions. I had to realize that I decided to make that decision. It was a conscious decision. It was my decision that I made. So maybe you guys have got something that you can relate to. The next one is, and this is where you get better at decision making as time goes on. And what I'm trying to say, guys, is, you know, we're in an entrepreneurial world. We're all looking to better our lives, but we've got people that are trying to drag us away from that all the time. Whether it's a night out with the girls, whether it's a night out with the guys, whether it's a holiday with, you know, that you really shouldn't be going on because there's a convention that you need to go to or something like that. We all have the power to make the right decisions. I'm just trying to sort these lights out. So the next one is consciously competent. So when I was wanting to become a personal trainer, I was umming and ahhing all the time about whether I should become a personal trainer or not. I knew it would be a risk when I joined the gym to work there. It was going to be £500 a month every single month that I would have to pay. And I was like, I can do it, I know I can do it. But then my parents were talking me out of it, saying it's not the right thing to do, you're not going to make any money doing that. Even close friends and family would say, who's going to pay for a personal trainer in Manchester? Like, you don't live in Los Angeles, this is like North Manchester, no one has a personal trainer, did they? They didn't know anything about it, but that noise was going on in my head, and it was making me question myself. And this is where peer pressure comes in. This is where negative partners can talk you out of doing something that you really, really want to do. Or friends and family say, oh, you're not doing that, are you? You're not doing one of those businesses, are you? So you start to buy into their bullshit instead of going, actually, I'm going to make the right decision for me. I'm going to make the right decision for my family. Because at the end of the day, you guys that are telling me, oh, you're not going to do one of those things, are you? You're not going to join that business, are you? You ain't paying for the Christmas presents this year. You ain't paying for the holiday that we're going on this year. You ain't paying my bills, my car, my mortgage. You ain't doing none of that stuff. So why are you even talking? Like, why are you even questioning what I'm doing? And one thing's for certain, I know now, because I've made bad decisions in the past, that the next decision that I'm going to make, I've learned from it. And I'm going to make the right decision for me. So despite the negativity, despite the people saying don't become a personal trainer, it's not going to work for you, I dived in. I dived into it and I gave it everything that I'd got. And I listened to somebody, rather than listening to somebody that wasn't making money, that wasn't living the life I wanted to live, I decided to make a decision to listen to the person that was a personal trainer, the person that was bringing in 30 sessions a week in income, was making over £1,000 a month doing personal training sessions. So you've got the decision who you listen to. You've got the decision to take advice. It's no use blaming somebody else saying, oh, I got the wrong advice. You get the choice to take their advice on board or not. The next one, guys, is subconsciously competent. This is where 9 times out of 10 you will get decisions right without even thinking about it. It's just the way it goes. So I can tell you a really cool story. I got a message from the company that I'm working with a few years ago, and it said, your mentor is flying in from Los Angeles. There's a meeting on Saturday morning. You're gonna need to be there at 9 a.m. right? So I'm like, wow, this guy's flying in from LA. He's made a fortune in this industry. I have to be there no matter what. It was a gimme. Even though I had a diary full of clients that day, they all got scratched. It was like, I can't make it, I can't make it, I can't make it. I didn't have to ask any advice. I didn't have to think about it. It was a completely subconsciously competent decision. It was like, bam, I know this is the right thing to do. I know this is the right place to be. If this guy is flying in and he's made over 100 million or whatever it was, I've got to be there. I am never going to get the opportunity to sit in a room with somebody like this again if I don't take this chance. Now, here's something interesting. There was another guy that I was supposed to be bringing with me that morning, and he made a decision that he was going to go out on the piss or drinking. He was going to go out with his mates on the Friday night. So he went out and got absolutely smoked. He was like done in. And I drove to pick him up in the morning. I was there about 7 a.m. And I rang him up and he answered his phone and he was like, I ain't gonna make it today. I just can't make it. I'm so hungover. I was like, bro, just get in the shower. Just quickly, I'll wait for you. It doesn't matter. We'll get there. I'll put my foot down and we'll get there on time. No. There's just no way. There's no way. Okay, no problem. So I left him. Never seen him again for 4 or 5 years. And I think it was last year. It was a beautiful day. I'm walking through Manchester and I see the guy crossing the road coming towards me. And he was like, "Oh my God, John, how you doing?" And we shook hands, and he said, "You're killing it. I've seen everything that you're doing on social media. I've seen what's happened. I've seen the videos on YouTube, seen your interviews in America, all that kind of stuff. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it." I said, "What are you doing now?" He said, "Oh, I've got a job. I friggin' hate it. I'm going there now. I've just finished my dinner break. I'm just sick of it. I just hate what I'm doing." Now, that was all down to a decision. I'm not saying that day would have changed his life, but it might have given him a different thought process. I pretty much think that missing out on that day had a massive, massive impact. That decision has ripples, back ripples. Like you can see that decision backwards, and you can go, "Wow, what if?" And I always kind of play this scenario around my head, like, what if I let somebody talk me out of something that I really want to do? What if I make a decision to lean into the thing that's going to take me away from what I want, instead of leaning into the thing that's going to take me towards what I want? Because imagine if, and this is a little bit out there, but I just want you to go with it. Imagine if you die, right? And you go on up to heaven, and God's there, and he says, "All right, I've got 2 DVDs." Or I've got 2 DVDs would be obsolete, right? But I've got 2 DVDs. Here's how your life is, and you can watch This Is Your Life, and you can rewatch everything that you did. Or we've got 5 decisions that you decided to go against, 5 key points on this DVD, and you can watch that one and see how your life would have ended up. See how amazing it would have been if you'd have just gone to the meeting, if you hadn't have listened to your partner's negativity, if you weren't scared about what your friends and family thought about you, if you didn't go on that night out and get hungover and then miss the meeting the next day, if you didn't cancel the Facebook Live. So all these things that add up, that have ripples and ripples and ripples and ripples and ripples. So that is it from me tonight, guys. I think it's something to mull over. I think it's something to think about. Don't beat yourself up. Like, I've made loads of fuck ups, loads of mistakes. I could do a whole live about all the things that I've messed up. I used to go to the train station when I was going to uni and go home because the train was too busy. I just thought, I don't want to stand on a packed train with people coughing and sneezing all over me. So I'd go home, right? Those were terrible decisions. Terrible decisions. That's why I failed at university. Because of the decisions that I made. The decisions not to revise. The decisions not to go to the lectures. The decisions when I gambled the money that backfired. But you know what? The best thing that I got from that is I took the blame. I took it. I owned that decision, and I said, you know what? I'm going to learn from this. This was the best lesson, and I've never had a single bet since. I've never bet a single penny, because that situation then, it was either chase it or learn from it. So that's it, guys. Just to reevaluate your 4 types of decision making: subconsciously incompetent, bad decisions without even thinking about it; consciously incompetent, making bad decisions but you know you're making them, which kind of, I don't know which one's worse. Consciously competent, where you make really good decisions but you have to kind of mull it over and think about it. And then you've got the holy grail, where you're just diving in, making impulsive decisions that are correct. And the only way you get to that stage is, number 1, by making decisions all the time, owning them, having the courage to step into that decision, not listening to the naysayers. And if you're gonna get advice from somebody that is living the life that you want to live. That is my number 1 motto. If they ain't living the life that I want to live, I take what they say with a pinch of salt. I'll listen to it, but I'm very, very choosy on who I get my advice from, because if they ain't living the lifestyle that I want to lead, then there is no point a lot of the time taking their advice on board. The famous saying is this: don't let your window cleaner cut your hair. Thank you for watching, guys. See you soon.